Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Phil's Recap and Review. Today we'll be looking at the X-Men movie series. We're going to be going through all of the movies, including the Deadpools, and talking about what we think about them. And now I'm just going to start quoting BoJack Horseman. We're going to tell you what we think about them, what our opinions of them, and what do they know. But then we're going to go through the list and do a little bit of a ranking system. I am not alone. I have with me today Joe Dirty Locks to go through this list, and we already realized that we're going to disagree about stuff, so this should be an interesting time. It's going to be a lot of fun. And we're also not alone. Throughout the day, we also have a few people that are popping on in here. We got Helen, we've got Ian, we've got Fandom, D-Saint, The Broke. Oh my goodness, here we go. The motherfucking chat is in there. It's going to be very much fun. Long time no see to you. Huge hug to you, and hope you're doing well. To all of our friends in the live chat that pops in here. This is something that came up in the Walking Dead cast that we did last week, where Joe and I's first cast back in a long time. We were talking about that show, The Walking Disaster, which will be back this Sunday evening at 10:30 p.m. to finally talk about an episode after the episode.
Hell yeah.
And in the middle of all of that, we started just randomly talking about the X-Men. We were like, we don't want to talk about this Walking Dead crap anymore. We started just talking about the X-Men series. We just paused. And then, as we usually do, we said, wait, let's do a cast on this. But usually what happens is we never do it. But we're going to try to be better about this kind of shit. So here we are today to talk about the X-Men movie franchise. We're going to go through, as I mentioned, every one of the movies, give you a little bit of a thoughts on each one, and then give our general ranking of the whole list. Was that you or was that me?
That was me.
Okay. Just wondering. But we do have the live motherfucking chat. We got Helen, Ian, Chrissy, Fandom, Hendrix. What is going on, my friends? And good afternoon, motherfucking chat. Good afternoon to everybody. Now, I do have to say one thing before we even start here. Now, I think Mother Nature, I think Storm knew that I was going to be very hard on Halle Berry today as her performance of Storm. Because here in the Boston area, I almost want to show you my phones. Last night, we had a huge fucking storm. Randomly, out of nowhere, it wasn't it was just a windstorm, and you woke up and these big, thick trees are blown over. So I have a feeling as we get into these movies, it was somehow the storm that caused this problem for me, because I think she's one of the poorest casting choices in this whole series, if I'm going into it. And I'm starting things off right by being trashing Halle Berry. And I just want to make it clear. I think she's an exceptional actress. She's an Oscar winner. She's really good in part she's in. But I think in some cases in these X-Men movies, they cast really well. And as we go to almost get right into the first movie, I think there was so many...
First class.
There was so many good casting choices that they made. Hugh Jackman isn't the ideal pick that you would think before the movie happened, but after you see it, he's the perfect Wolverine. Patrick Stewart, could anyone but Telly Savalas play Patrick Stewart? I mean, play Professor X as well as Patrick Stewart could? I don't know. Hey, this is Telly Savalas, baby.
Hey, you just pick him because he's a fucking bald man?
Yeah, I'm picking him because he's a bald man. That's what I'm doing. I'm a bald.
Shave anybody's head, but no, Patrick Stewart is the best pick you could have had.
Yeah, you couldn't have picked anyone else. I mean, really, when it comes down to it.
There's maybe a couple other guys that I could think of that would do good, not Malcolm McDowell, but the guy that looks like Malcolm McDowell.
Not Malkovich or something like that,
No, Malcolm McDowell is he the guy from Clockwork Orange?
Yes, that's Matthew McDowell.
So not Malcolm McDowell, but there's another guy. Who's the guy from Mindhead? Bowfinger.
Okay. Someone will pop that in the live chat. I know who you're talking about, but I can't have those names. Hey, Bernie.
Maybe one of them too, if you shaved their heads or something like that, could possibly pull it off, but Patrick Stewart is.
But Patrick Stewart was the best. Ian McKellen, a lot of people could have played Magneto, but he was an inspired choice of picking him in that part.
Oh, and they played so well together.
So amazing together, and that was the start of their bromance in a lot of ways. And also within that movie, and we'll talk a little bit more deep, but I want to just talk about the casting in general. I think someone like James Marsden playing Cyclops was a very good casting, but they just wrote him like shit. I think it
was actually kind of bad casting that he was so young.
Fair.
Comparatively to other cast members.
No, I hear you. I think the actor, though, has it in him to play that part well. I think
Cyclops is a big guy. He's not a big guy at all.
He
Cyclops
isn't,
is a big fucking guy.
So is Wolverine. Wolverine's a short guy, and Hugh Jackman's tall, and it really worked out in that favor. But I think that the problem with Cyclops in all these movies, because I don't think there's a single in all, 13 of these fucking movies. And I like Cyclops, especially in the cartoon, because like a lot of people, my introduction to the X-Men wasn't necessarily through the comics. I enjoy comics. I read them on occasion. I'm probably not as much into comics and graphic novels as Joe is, but I do have an affinity for them. Where my connection to everything is through the animated stuff. That's why I like Batman so much, because of the Batman animated series. The X-Men animated series of the 90s is almost just as important, and didn't age quite as well, but it really introduced me to all of these characters. And Cyclops is such an important member of the X-Men for numerous reasons that we don't have time to get into. We could do a whole podcast on how important Cyclops is. He's the leader. He's the second in command. He's the motivator. He's the moral compass, the Leonardo of the group in a lot of ways if we're comparing him to the Ninja Turtles. But he was never good in any of these movies. They never captured the character of Cyclops correctly in any of these fucking movies. He always got the shit end of the stick. They could have done it in The Last Stand, but then they fucking kill him. They bring him back. They fuck Cyclops so bad. If anyone gets it fucked in the series, it's Cyclops. And the other one is Storm. As much as I again like Halle Berry, and I started off this whole thing by trashing Halle Berry. I think she's an excellent actress when she's in the right part. Storm should have been Angela fucking Bassett or something. It should have been someone with more gravitas as an actress that could have a deep voice.
They wrote her passive. They did not explore nearly enough of how powerful Storm is, who largely is considered like, the most powerful fucking X-Men there is for a long time, until Jean Grey's potential is realized.
Part of the problem, too, with the way they cast Storm was how they directed her, or her acting choice with the accent. It's one of those accents like Keanu Reeves in Devil's Advocate that comes and goes and comes and goes and comes and goes with no rhyme or reason. They just drop it in some movies. She has it in other movies. She has it on a line here. She doesn't have it on a line there. This is what happens when a toad gets struck by lightning.
Ultimately, it didn't need to be Halle Berry. It could have been almost anybody to play Storm. I feel like her and Rebecca Romijn, although she did such a great job with Mystique, and even with the new Mystique, whatever the fuck her name was,
Jennifer Lawrence.
What fucking horrible casting that was, as far as I'm concerned, too. Like most of the new class was horrible, but we'll get into that later. They could have picked anybody for a lot of these roles. The most important ones were obviously, going to be Professor X, Wolverine,
Magneto,
and Magneto.
And in that first movie, and here we go. The movies we're going to be talking about today: X-Men X2, X-Men: The Last Stand, X-Men Origins Wolverine, X-Men First Class.
I can't believe you don't like that movie. That movie was
oh my
good.
dude, written by David Benioff of Game of Thrones fame. X-Men First Class. I can't believe you don't like. Anyways, the Wolverine, X-Men.
X-Men First Class.
No. I haven't got to the one. I can't believe you don't like it. X-Men: Days of Future Past, Deadpool, X-Men Apocalypse, Logan, Deadpool 2, Dark Phoenix. So those are the movies we'll be talking about here. And thank you everybody in the live motherfucking chat. They wanted the big names, bro, as Bernie said, and that's why
exactly they did want to, and that detracts a lot of times from the movies. Then you have a big name like fucking Halle Berry sitting there in the background, who basically is just fucking twiddling herself until like she's commanded to go do some shit.
People can correct me if I'm wrong. I don't even think they really truly explored her
at all. Period.
Her claustrophobia or her
anything, dude.
Her crazy powers. Storm is such an interesting character in the comic books and in the animated series, especially in the animated series where I have more of an understanding of her.
A temper. Like
she's
fucking temper.
She's
dude.
Also fully second in command, and a lot of times controls operations similar to Cyclops. And they run the team. They do that a little bit in the first two X-Men movies, but it's sort of abandoned for the most part, and not really they don't really sell it. So, X-Men Last Stand was total shit. Helen says Fassbender was great as Magneto. We'll get into that when we start talking about First Class. I think he was one of the highlights. Even if you don't love the reboot cast, I think Michael Fassbender was excellent casting as Magneto, and I think him and Professor X do well in both sets of movies. So let's start with the first X-Men movie, Joe. Now, the first X-Men movie came out on July 14th, 2000, directed by Bryan Singer, written by a myriad of people. And this another character that we have not mentioned yet that's worth mentioning that I loved from the cartoon that I feel like was a weird representation but is such an important part of the first movie especially is Rogue. Now, Rogue is... It's interesting choice what they made. Of course, Rogue is someone that can suck powers out when they touch somebody and take in their powers. I think in the animated series she had already done that. What is it, to Miss Marvel and basically killed her and taken her powers full time, so she becomes almost a Superman-like character in the cartoon and throwing people around, and an excellent sense of humor. Her and Gambit are the love story on that show, and that's a big central point. How they handle Rogue in the first X-Men movie is a lot different. She's a young kid that hasn't really figured out what's going on yet. Is the secret to Magneto's success in the situation. You get that wonderful line by Magneto, "You didn't think I wanted you, young man." And you get the reveal through that whole movie of you think it's Logan that Magneto wants. And then when he finally gets in that scene on the train and you see this is one of my favorite scenes in any X-Men movie. Whenever Magneto's in the same place as Logan and he starts just going, this is so fun. It's like putting me in a big giant pile of weed. I'm just like, let me roll around in this. Where it's like, you mean I can control you like a marionette puppet? You mean someone put metal inside you? Your body's not filled with complete all metal, is it? I love that. But that X-Men movie, I think it's aged pretty well. I think in some ways it's aged better than X2, even though I think X2 is a better movie. I think it was really well done. And at the time, it was the first superhero movie to start this generation of superhero movies. Before this point, you had Batman 89, you had the Superman movie, you had Blank Man. Those two movies. You had Batman, Superman, and then you had Blank Man. But you had a lot of sort of part-time...
You had Mystery Man.
Was Mystery Man before X-Men?
And you had Spider-Man.
No, Spider-Man, I believe, came after X-Men. I gotta see this stuff.
Really? The fuckboys ones there?
Yeah,
what's his name?
Toby's.
Mount Pleasant with you, Toby? Really?
I think... no, Spider-Man... Yeah, X-Men came out in 2000. Spider-Man came out in 2002.
Huh.
So X-Men was the first one. I remember specifically when this came out, I got the DVD that showed how they filmed all the scene between Logan and Sabretooth fighting on side of the Statue of Liberty. This movie really was the first one of this generation of superhero movies.
Well, maybe yeah.
Also
the live-action Spider-Man show.
Someone said, we're talking about movies here. Someone said, "Hold up, Phil. Blade started it." Yeah,
yeah. Blade is a comic book movie.
Yep.
Yeah.
Blade is a Marvel movie, and Wesley Snipes at his best. It was after Blade, people were like, "Holy shit, they can."
Come on, Wesley Snipes at his best. Come on, white men can't jump.
Yeah, that's true. And the Money Train is also a great movie. Anytime Woody,
Wildcats.
Better than Diamond Rings. Anytime that Wesley and Woody are in the same place at the same time, it's really a great thing. I almost wanted Wesley Snipes to show up on True Detective season 1 somehow, and just to have McConaughey go, "Who's this guy?" Oh, we got Ree. Great to see Ree in the live chat. Great to see everybody. Great to see Helen. Great to see the Madman Martz and Chrissy. All of our good friends popping on in the live chat. So. What did you think of the first X-Men movie? What you remember about it in general?
I remember quite a bit about it. It was a great movie. Just the whole opening of that movie is fantastically done. I mean, with Magneto and the Nazis,
the concentration
and all that
camp
shit.
stuff. Yeah.
Come on, that's great.
No, and it was really great at introducing each character. I think if you get into a weakness in that movie, I think it's Magneto's plan is a little bit whatever. His plan is to use Rogue to suck his powers out so she can be used to magnetize something to turn half of the island.
Turn everybody else into mutants. Into like blobs.
Blobby, silent, slimy little mutant things. And, I mean, the story's thinnish, but it's really well done, really well acted for the most part, especially with the principals. And I think Professor X is underused in a lot of these movies because he's too powerful. And this is the first example of that where Magneto, each movie has a sort of Magneto needs to take Professor X out of the equation somehow, or someone needs to, because he's too fucking powerful. He has too much on the ball of these kind of situations, and I think they do a good job of that. It's almost when you forget he's there, and then suddenly it's Professor X's power. It's almost like Odin in the Thor movies, where you forget Odin exists, and then next thing you know, here comes Anthony Hopkins to save the day. Like, I'm Anthony Hopkins. Ha ha ha. I'm here to piss off Joe, being Anthony Hopkins. Ha ha. As I recall, the first movie, Magneto was trying to turn everyone into a mutant. Yes, that was his whole storyline in the first movie, trying to turn everyone into a mutant. I think the villains in it were Sabretooth and Toad, right? There were no other. I'm not missing one, right? It was Toad, Sabretooth, and Magneto, and Mystique. And I think Mystique was done exceptionally well from a standpoint of, that's a character that you almost knew could transition to film so well. Rebecca Romijn, in the way she moves her body in that role, is just really well done.
Fantastic, but you really don't think anybody could have played that role?
Do you think anyone can play any motion cap role? I think there's some dynamic of her smile, the look. I think Rebecca, in a weird way, adds a little bit more to that part with some of her mannerisms than someone else can. I mean,
definitely more than, she's much better cast than
Jennifer Lawrence.
Than Jennifer Lawrence, absolutely. But like, I'd have to really explore who else maybe could do that role. Like, I wouldn't want to see frickin' what's her name in it.
You're just blanking on actresses.
Charlize Theron do it either, but there could probably be. I don't know.
Rebecca Romijn in that part had just washed off the Stamos. She was looking really great. She was feeling
really good.
She washed off, and I don't want to be reductive here, but I think there was some like inherent sexiness to the way she moved through that part that I don't think every person can pull off. I found Jennifer Lawrence doing it a little stiff at times. I think to be Mystique, you need to love every second of what you can do. And for someone who's not an actor by nature, because you're right, I think when you put that much makeup or that much something over somebody, you don't need, and someone doesn't really talk too much, or as they play different characters' voices, I don't think you had to cast an actress, and I think a model or someone could have just mailed that in. But I think, in my opinion anyways, she adds a very important dynamic to that movie, herself, in her physicality and her acting, that I don't think anyone could pull off. I think young Michelle Pfeiffer could have pulled it off. I think there's some people that could pull it off, or great actors could pull it off. But I think there is something to be said about how well she melted into that role, personally, in my opinion anyways. I was happy she died in Dark Trash. She felt her part. Hell, exactly what Helen's saying. You could just tell she was feeling that part really well. And Toad, are you upset Toad's, I think, the least memorable of the three villains. I think he's played by who's the actor that plays Toad? He's actually a pretty known actor. Where is he? He's a fucking Toad. But
yeah, he was good. He was very well.
Ray Park. Yeah, Ray Park.
Toad was cast well. Crawler was cast well. He's not in the first movie though, right? He's in the second movie. No, he's in the first.
Nightcrawler's just second movie. He starts off the second movie.
He starts the second movie, right.
We'll talk about that in a second.
Sabretooth. I liked Liev Schreiber's Sabretooth.
Yeah, we'll get it. This is what started that whole discussion. I think from an acting standpoint, Liev Schreiber played it well. I think this guy did have, whoever this gentleman's name that played this part, had a good...
It's two different comic book representations of Sabretooth, though. One of them is the original. They tried to stick with the original.
Oh, shit. Sorry. Toad ate a bird. Greatest scene ever. And I always forget this. Ray Park, who played Toad, is the same guy who played Darth Maul.
Really?
Yeah, same actor, which is very, very fun. I always forget that, but yeah, that is Darth Maul. Thank you, who said that in the live chat. Thank you, Adrian. Oh, we got Jordy the Jedi in the live chat. I'm so excited to see all you guys. Toad was pretty much a throwaway character in the movie. He was in the sense he wasn't remembered, but I think the actor, and again, I'm going to repeat myself a lot, the actor made the most out of every moment he had. And I think part of what makes that first X-Men movie so good, especially if you look back at it in a time capsule, compared to some of the movies we've had in a world that we live in that's post the Amazon series The Boys. In a world that's we're that far down the road of superhero franchise stuff that we've gotten to the fucking Boys as like the greatest fucking piece of property in the fucking universe right now. It's to see where it started out, to see the Love Me Do, if we're doing a Beatles comparison of the first X-Men movie, to get to the point where we're at Abbey Road here in Boys is an interesting progression when we think about how these stories were handled. So in this first movie, I think it's so much about the characters' performances, and I think so many of them do well. It's easy. I just want to talk about everyone we haven't talked about here. So Sabretooth, Magneto and Logan steal the show. I think there's a lot of really great performances in the first X-Men movie, but I think the shining stars coming out of that movie are Ian McKellen playing Magneto, and obviously the centerpiece of the entire X-Men franchise moving forward. Is there another movie he's not in as we go down this list? Is he in every one of these fucking movies? And even for a bit part is Hugh Jackman's Wolverine, who becomes the Robert Downey Jr. of this X-Men universe. And almost to the point where if they decide to bring the X-Men into the MCU eventually, I don't know if I'm going to be able to accept anyone else as Wolverine for a long time right now. Some of the other parts I can, but Wolverine is just so iconically Hugh Jackman, and Hugh Jackman is so iconically Wolverine that I know he's a great actor. He's a great musical actor. He was great in Les Mis. He's great in pretty much everything he does from a performance standpoint. But he'll always be he was so good in that role that he'll always be Wolverine to me, and it's going to be tough to break that. What's her name? Girl from Nip Tuck, as Jean Grey. Now, I think her performance was interesting. I think this girl is, I'm blanking on her name, I think she's a good actress. And as much as I always questioned her performance of Jean Grey, I never thought I'd come to this point, Joe, to say this, but she's the best person to ever play Jean Grey in a live action. Sophia Turner was so bad. So bad.
Are those the only two, though? Aren't those the only two?
Yes, but it does. But what I'm saying is, I always thought if they recast Jean Grey, if they did the Jean Grey stuff again, especially when they reintroduced the X-Men again, I was like, okay, they're gonna do this better. It's gonna feel more like Jean Grey in some ways. And surprisingly, it was worse. It was actually worse. So we'll talk about that as we proceed downward. But I think she was good in the movie. I think her relationship with Logan, her and Hugh Jackman had chemistry, but where I think the problem was set in stone from this first X-Men movie, I think right away they fuck Cyclops in her relationship with Wolverine. They made the two sexy characters have an interaction, and they never really, to me, established the bond that Jean Grey and Cyclops really have. It was almost transcendental.
It was horrible.
It was transcendental through the whole thing. It's just they never did it.
Give me a beer, and that was like it. Oh no, she's hurt. Wait, Don't let her get hurt. Don't let it. Oh, no. It was fucking horrible, dude. The whole fucking movie was horrible. Let's just forget that fucking movie.
Oh, no. You're talking about Dark Phoenix. I'm talking just in general.
Oh, in the first one. No. Jean Grey never. It was almost like
It was almost like Cyclops was her douchebag boyfriend, and she always liked Wolverine better, but she just didn't choose him because he was a bad boy. And whereas in the comic and in the cartoon, even if there is something between Jean and Logan at times, the dynamic between Cyclops and Jean is so strong. They're supposed to have this. I mean, they're the Joni and Chachi of this whole universe. They have something truly special that I don't feel like ever got dictated right on film. Do people really hate Sophia Turner or hate Sansa? I don't hate Sophia because I think as much as people can trash Sansa,
she was great.
I think she was great in the role of Sansa as an actress. I think she wouldn't have been.
They wrote the character like shit.
That's a different discussion for a different day. I think that she kicked ass in that acting performance. I think whatever bad things anyone wants to say about Sansa, it's a credit to Sophia's performance in the role that we feel these emotions about her. I think ultimately, though, seeing her in it makes me question if some of the directors on Game of Thrones and the way it was directed brought more out of actors, because you see her performance in that, and she's in the X-Men movies, and she's fucking shit on a stick. There's a couple of other actors that have been good, and you see Kit in Pompeii or something, whatever that movie he's in. He's pretty shitty in that. And you see like some other people. You see Dani in everything she's ever been in besides Dani, and she's pretty shit. I'm talking mainly about Terminator's movies, but she's horrible in the Terminator movie. So I don't know if it's a credit to the way the characters in Game of Thrones were fleshed out, that they had more time to sort of examine that. But I think it's, for me anyways, it's not about Sophia. It's about Jean Grey and the way that character is depicted on screen with her playing it. I think she just sucks. Helen says, well, I go for Wolverine, to be honest. And I almost feel like, to go to Helen's point, I almost think that that's what the writers were thinking. They were like, yeah, Cyclops and David Hayter, Michael Dougherty, Dan Harris, and Dan Harris, those three people, when they were writing X-Men 1 and X-Men 2, the same creative team worked on the first two movies, we're thinking, yeah, Jean and Cyclops are supposed to be a couple, but, these two have heat on screen, and we need to really explore this heat that they have on screen, and that's okay. But I think I wish that good decisions in these movies weren't necessarily made at Cyclops' expense. Not that, and I'm not a huge Cyclops fanboy, Joe. I just think he got fucked so much in this movie series. If any character the characters that got most fucked in these series are Storm and Cyclops. Both those characters never got a true good representation, and I hope if they do get brought into the MCU and Marvel does it, they kill those characters. You know what I mean? They really show us how Storm can be done right. Yeah. Reese says, I would go for Wolverine too. Cyclops a little bitch, in my opinion, in the movies at least. He is. I've always been a Gambit fan. I can always wish they will do him right. We'll talk about Gambit in X-Men Wolverine, Origins Wolverine. With the Wolverine movies, there's a lot of name differences here, so it's confusing. I don't think there's much else we can say about X-Men 1 that we haven't just babbled about already. It's a good movie, great way of starting this. I think at this point when this movie came out, Joe, I was like, this is going to be a fun franchise. This is going to be great to see how they proceed here, how they do the Dark Phoenix story, how they do Apocalypse, how they go into all those directions. I was very excited about this. Yeah. So then we get into X-Men 2, which came out a year after Spider-Man, a year before I believe Spider-Man 2 came out, which at the time that X-Men 2 and Spider-Man 2 were released, this is my opinion personally, they were the two best movies with superhero characters in them, except for maybe Batman 89, ever created. Like, I think these two movies I think X-Men 2 took everything that was good about X-Men 1 and made it better. I don't think there's anything worse about X-Men 2 than in X-Men 1. I think on rewatches, that little kid that Stryker's son that is fucking with Professor X, I kind of fast forward through those parts on my rewatches to get some of the other action that happens in it, but there's a lot more humor in X-Men 2. Magneto becomes an anti-hero a lot more. That scene when he's breaking out of the prison cell is amazing when you see how everyone's treating him in prison, and you really care about him. Rebecca Romaine breaking him out is an amazing scene. The way she rips in the way Magneto rips the magnesium out of someone's body, which after she shoots the iron or whatever, the iron. And what's interesting about that, Joe, is in the comics, some forms of Magneto can do that without people inserting something in somebody else, without someone injecting iron into them.
No, because there's already iron in your blood.
Right.
That's what he pulled out of him.
But no, in that movie, there was a scene where Mystique has to pick up the guard and shoots him with metal, so he has metal in his body. I've recently rewatched X2. There's a scene where right before the prison breakout scene where where Rebecca Romaine, I think as Rebecca Romaine, picks up the main security guard that's treating Magneto like shit, injects him with some metal, and when he walks into Magneto's room that day to give him his food, Magneto's eyes light up and he's like, oh, I see. I guess you had something the other night, sir. And then he rips the metal out of him and then turns it into those little metal plates that he floats his ass out. I saw that in the theater, and at that I was with someone that hates people that talk in the theater, and during that part I stood up with about 20 other people and we're like, fuck yeah! Fuck yeah! Great scene. Oh, Killmonger. Killmonger, Joe's about to debate you. Spoiler alert. We'll get into that in a second. Don't react to that yet. So, we also, the whole movie starts out with Nightcrawler, as Joe was saying. And I think Joe, Nightcrawler was one of the added characters for that movie, as well as Iceman and Pyro, which you have that sort of the scene, I believe that's in X-Men 2, where Wolverine goes to Iceman's house, and that scene in him in the kitchen where the cat comes in, the cat nuzzles into his claw, and he opens the beer, and he has the warm beer, and all that sort of shit, and then his brother, and then Pyro goes all pyro on their asses and stuff, and Rogue is much more of an established character. I think Stryker is a menacing villain. You get to hear more about Wolverine's backstory. Joe, what are your opinions on the second movie? Do you have anything else to add to that?
Oh, I liked it. I liked the whole. I liked it.
Yeah. I do. I think it was really well done. It's a lot easier to talk about things when we disagree with them, but I think this movie was. It held your attention. It holds its own even now after a series and thousands of fucking comic book movies that you have now and superhero movies. I think it still holds up in the upper echelon of those movies, just because of some of those scenes, especially some of the scenes that you get in it. And I think it's exceptionally well done. And it really made me excited for that third movie. It got you so amped that, okay, now they have a third one. They're figuring this out. This is all starting to come together. I think you started the Nolan series by this point, and everything in Nolan Batman series, it seemed like a renaissance or a real birth of awesome superhero properties that were going to be coming from this point. And then we get into X-Men Last Stand, the first turd of the bunch, the unarguable up until a certain point in time down towards the bottom of the list. I have never, and if someone disagrees with me, pop in the live chat, pop in the comment section afterwards. If you listen to this podcast, find me and throw a rock at my head, whatever you want to do. I don't find many people that like X-Men Last Stand. A lot of the other ones that have that are bad, you could make arguments on. We'll talk about Origins next, which I think Joe likes more than I do. But X-Men Last Stand, which is the Dark Phoenix story that they try to do, they kill Professor X in the first 5 minutes of the movie. Basically, they kill a Cyclops. They have Jean have some weird sort of powers that aren't really Dark Phoenix powers. Have her come back. It's just it's a big mess of a movie. You have tons of mutants fighting mutants. You have this whole side story with a mutant cure that Rogue is going after. And it's a mess of a movie in the same way that Spider-Man 3 is a mess of a movie, Joe. In the same way, there's just too much going on, not enough direction in the storyline, and the performances are a little all over the place, and I don't like it. I don't like it. I think it's a bad movie, and I don't think it's held up well. I think the best thing you can say about it is, and Joe, you'll have to answer this question for me, because I've seen every movie on this list but one, and is it better or worse than Dark Phoenix?
Are we talking about X3?
X3, yeah, the Dark Phoenix story the first time.
God, they're both fucking stinkers.
But you think neither one of them are good?
I hated both of them, actually. I hated X3 and I hated Dark Phoenix. Like the whole, I guess those aspects of X3 I liked. A lot more mutants are realized throughout that movie.
So, yeah, someone said Weapon X was the only good part. That's but they still fucked that up somehow.
Wait, Weapon X isn't until Wolverine Origin.
I'd have to read that again. No, X-Men 3 ruined what would have been a great trilogy. The story had promise. Just cut out the Dark Phoenix shit. Magneto was so out of character. The next X-Men movie is going to be film used the Funkos only. X-Men The Last Stand is the worst in the entire series by the worst director. The only good scene in The Last Stand was Magneto versus the convoy at the Golden Gate Bridge part was cool. Yeah, that was a pretty cool part. I wish I could disagree, Phil, but it was horrible. Worse, but by not much. The Last Stand didn't recon shit. Dark trash. Didn't even care. I like that's a good name for it. Dark trash broke. I like that. I don't even remember Last Stand's mutants make it better. So I don't know what more we could really say about Last Stand that hasn't already been said. It's a fucking disaster mess of a movie. There's some good scenes throughout it, some good performances. Ian McKellen is never bad in the role of Magneto. And I think Wolverine, Hugh Jackman is never bad in the role of Hugh Jackman. Hugh Jackman's never bad in the role of Hugh Jackman. Of course he's not. So I think it's a well done movie. Then they shut his mouth. Deadpool had to go fix it. Oh yes. Okay. So let's continue on this list to another what I consider a strike and another really kind of shitty movie, but it's shitty in a different way. We go to X-Men Origins Wolverine. I think it has some interesting aspects to it. Before I'll let Joe go on this one because I think he likes this movie a little bit more because of his television actor crush on Leaf Shive from Lieb Shive. What's his name again?
Schreiber. I thought he was good in a lot of everything I've pretty much seen him in.
No, that's what I'm saying. You have a acting crush on him. You really like him. You love that Showtime show. I still haven't watched Ray Donovan, and he's a great actor. And I think the dynamic between him and Logan throughout that whole movie from beginning to end, watching them age together and fight in the wars and go through all of that, I think that's the best aspect of that movie. I think it carries through. It's a through line through the entire thing, and it's.
But I love Ryan Reynolds as Weapon X. As Deadpool, dude.
That Deadpool sucked, dude. Really?
He did not. He kind of sucked. He kind of sucked. I'm not going to say he fully sucked. You don't get enough of him for him to suck.
They sealed Deadpool's mouth, dude.
Yes, they do.
You don't do that.
That's the best part
Bad
of Deadpool.
Bad movie.
But the thing is you don't get anything but the fight from them, right? And it makes sense in that.
You can't even make sense with it. You can go. You go ahead. Try. Make sense why that doesn't suck. Okay, I'm gonna do to you what you're gonna do to me when we talk about Logan. What the fuck are you seeing here in this movie? Like, I don't get it. I
liked the fight. There was aspects of it that were good. I liked the fight on top of the nuclear silos, but
no, fair enough. And I will say this about the movie: the action in it is cheesy, over the top, but it's fun. And I think the fight with Blob is ridiculous, but like I laughed during it. I thought it was a fun fight. I thought that Blob was an interesting Blob. I like Ryan Reynolds in that whole movie before they seal his mouth. I think it's interestingly done. I think Gambit is horribly depicted in that movie. I think for Gambit fans, and you've been waiting all that time for that Gambit, it's a shit show. I think that's
not necessarily a bad casting. It's just poorly done.
He looks stupid the way they have him jumping around. I just think there's nothing good about that Gambit, and I love Gambit from the cartoon. He was probably my favorite character in the video games. I'd always play as Gambit.
You always loved him.
I always loved Gambit. Yeah, and I think that was a fucking fist up my ass of Gambit. Deadpool thing was horribly disgusting, and I get why you're saying the fight was decent. And again, the action fight, I don't think Hugh Jackman as Wolverine shoots bad action. I think every time he's doing it, it's
and he elevates who he's with.
I agree. This is what we get some live chat here. I want to get hold Joe to task here. Brooke says Joe defends mouth shut Deadpool but rants on CW shit. I am stamping this.
I'm not necessarily like I said, there's aspects of
and
the
bastard of I'm cutting you off here. I'm muting Joe.
I can't really.
Yeah, you can't defend this thing. This deserves a where is it?
But here's the thing: I still like him in that, and I still like the Deadpool. In Deadpool 1, the appearance of the toy, the Weapon X toy.
Shut the fuck up.
Like, I love how he rags on. Basically that by knocking over the toy or stepping on it or some shit, and then I love how he rags on his Green Lantern shit.
No, I
just don't give me a CGI costume or some
right.
shit like
okay,
that.
So you're saying it was worth it for the joke later. You're saying
yes.
Okay, that's different.
Yes.
That's different.
Even without the joke later, to have him at all.
Dude, I'm gonna say what the bastard of America in the live chat said. You don't seal the merc with the mouth shut, dude. You just don't do that.
Well, you do if you're the guy that fucking is sick of hearing the merc with the mouth, right?
Oh, so you're saying, I guess. So no, I understand where you're coming from the standpoint of in the storyline and the way that he's just a loudmouth, that they might go into that direction considering the dynamic between him and him and Sabretooth throughout the movie. You could see that it could go in that direction. They're constantly trying to tell him to shut up. I just think if you had a different character and not had it actually been Deadpool, someone that again is a very important character to a lot of people, including Ryan Reynolds, and in a lot of ways, and really had honestly lift your leg up and take a piss on everything the character's about, because the character Deadpool isn't so much. It is about his powers. It is about what he can do. It's about his mouth. It's about him talking shit in the same way, in a different way, that Spider-Man's about being a wise ass. And when you have someone that can't pull off the wise ass talkery,
there's no wise ass about any of the Spider-Man shit.
Oh, I think Tom Holland pulls it off well. I think different discussion, Joe.
Wise ass.
Let's hold this off for the Spider-Man one of these. Hold this because we're gonna do a Spider-Man one of these. There's enough Spider-Man movies to talk about that.
Oh God.
Okay? Yeah.
Almost three trilogies.
Right. So we'll hold off that argument for a different day, because we have more arguments to come here. Come here for the rest of this X-Men
trilogy, 2 movies trilogy.
Right. So I think it was, if you like Deadpool and you were at all excited to see him, it's a fucking punch in the face. From a movie standpoint of a fun kind of thing, I can see almost.
See, I wasn't expecting to see him in that movie, you know? I wasn't expecting the Weapon X to come out in that movie.
My favorite was Stryker. What's Travis say? Greatest thing about that movie is that they had a great Sabretooth. Yeah, that's what Joe's saying too. And I think Joe is being forgiving. I'm going to talk about Joe like he's not in the room. Let's come here, guys. I think what Joe's really talking about here, that I took you off camera, but no, let me put you. No, I think what Joe's really saying here is that he loves David Benioff of Game of Thrones so much that he forgives so much about this movie. But no, I think really, all jokes aside, and we've talked about this before, I think you just love the performance of Sabretooth so much in this movie that it kind of carries through. You forgive a lot. It's a lot of what you make fun of me about when I like a movie that has a poor plot.
But it's more than that. I liked Stryker in the movie. I liked Liev Schreiber in the movie. I liked, of course,
Wolverine.
Fucking Wolverine does Wolverine perfect in every all of his movies.
I can't think of. Can you think of a bad performance he had? I can't. I don't
know. He's had a few bad haircuts, but
I think one of his best performances is, I think it's in First Class at the end of the movie where they come to see him in the bar or something.
And he's just like, fuck off.
Yeah, fuck off, guys. Out. Yeah, I love that. I don't know why, but I fucking love that moment. That's such a great moment. Okay, Killmonger has a good question that Joe and I were asking before we started this stream. Are the Deadpool movies considered X-Men movies? For the
we're saying yes.
We're saying in this discussion yes, but if someone that's watching this says they're not, we're not going to argue with you. So it's almost
there are X-Men in the movies.
Yeah. We got the best representation of what's his name, the Russian fucking oh god, what's Colossus. I think you do have Colossus in X2 as well as like a young kid, but you get real Colossus in or a very fun representation of Colossus.
And then in number 2, of course, you get
Cable. Is Cable in it? Yep. That's
whose kid is Cable?
Bishop.
And
I'm not sure. I'm blank. No, is Bishop Cable's kid? Am I making that up, or is it the other way around?
I think it's Bishop. I forget now.
Okay, yeah. So sorry. We're people in the live chat and in the comment section will correct us in every moment that we're wrong, I'm sure. I just wonder whose dumb ass it was to come up.
All right, no. Cable's family tree, the Gray family tree, dude.
Oh, is it Jean Grey connection?
Dr. John Gray, Cable comes from. Wait, hold on. Where is he?
Juggernaut is. Oh yeah, Juggernaut's in that movie. I'm the fucking Juggernaut. Bitch.
Yep, Juggernaut.
Do they make Juggernaut in the X-Men universes, in the movie universes, Professor X's half brother? I don't think so, but I believe in the in the cartoon series, Juggernaut and Professor X are brothers or half brothers. Cyclops is the son of Cable. Thank you, Adrian.
Okay.
Yes.
Wait, what? Cyclops is the parent of Cable.
I think he was Juggernaut. Let's talk about Juggernaut. Let's talk about Juggernaut. Bring it on. We had a shitty one. Deadpool gave us a legit one finally. Yeah, he did give us a little. That other one was awful. But Juggernaut has been, I think he was depicted well, and the way that it's more about the suit than him. But I think that's the sheer force of destruction that character dictates is amazing in every depiction of it.
Cable's the son of Scott.
Oh, it's the son of Scott. Okay, thank you. My bad. Cable is Cyclops' dad. Talk about Fire first. He talks about his brother in Deadpool. Yes. Do you know who I am? I'm the Juggernaut, bitch. Goes all Jesse Pinkman. So Juggernaut is a lot of fun of a character, and I thought he was done well in a movie in the sense of getting to see him go fucking crazy. Deadpool 2, Juggernaut is related to Professor X, not in The Last Stand, though. Totally is
Yeah,
Charles'
he is. He's supposed to be his brother,
his brother, yeah, that's what I was saying. We'll call him Jugs for short. We'll call him Jigs for short and sing the Jigglypuff song every time he comes out. So, yeah, it's confusing in some places where they're brothers and some places that they're not. And you guys in the live chat, thank you so much for keeping us correct here because we can only know so much about this stuff because we've eaten way too many sandwiches, so our heads can be a little forgetful with things. Had a theme song about balls. Okay, so X-Men Origins Wolverine is a fun romp, but not a very good movie, Joe. I can understand you finding it fun, but I could never call it a good movie. I think it's kind of shit, but
okay. I'm not gonna argue.
But it's better than Last Stand.
Yep, it certainly isn't last on the fucking list.
Definitely not. I don't think it's last on either of our lists. I definitely don't think so. So here's where I think we're going to start to disagree a little bit. We get into X-Men First Class. Now,
horrible.
Oh, I forgot. I want to mention one more thing about Last Stand, one of the other only highlight points of Last Stand before we proceed into this new class. Kelsey Grammer as Beast. I thought it was a shame that he was playing Beast in such a horseshit of a movie. I wish they brought him in X-Men 2 or in the first movie because I think he's a very good casting in the role of Beast.
Yeah, again, they could have gone with a lot of fucking actors. I'm not going to start naming off people because that takes a lot of thought. But didn't have to be Kelsey Grammer. I liked him in the role.
I just like Fraser so much that
exactly. I liked him in the role.
And I think his voice works really well with that character, and even if you had someone else do the physicality of it. Okay, X-Men First Class. We've had these 4 X-Men movies. We had 2 duds. X-Men First Class comes back and kind of resuscitates the franchise. Bryan Singer's back in as a producer.
The only good thing about X-Men First Class, though, is the casting of
Fassbender.
Fassbender, yep.
You don't like what's his name as Professor X?
Oh,
James McAvoy,
yeah.
I believe his name is.
He's good as Professor X too. I like him. And I think
and I also
like him a lot.
I like him a lot as Professor X. I think he's a great actor, and I think he pulls off that character really well throughout the series. And I think what carries this second franchise is him and Fassbender have just as much chemistry in their own way as Ian McKellen and Patrick Stewart do. And I think that's what sells these movies. And I think First Class gets a lot of love. I like it a lot more than you, simply because of the style. I think it's shot in a very interesting visual style, and I think it in that sort of 70s kind of thing. And I believe what they were going to do at this point was have each one of these movies symbolize a different generation of the X-Men. You have like the 60s X-Men in First Class, and the 70s in Days of Future Past, and then like the 80s ones in Apocalypse or something. But I don't think it all worked out that way. But I like the colors. I like the redesign of the whole thing. And I think in general, it's a well put together movie. I don't think it's incredibly deep, but I think it's a good bringing the gang back together and making you care about X-Men again. For me personally, Joe. Do you have any thoughts personally on like what you didn't like about it, or just you remember not digging it too much?
The rest of the cast, pretty much.
I thought Jennifer Lawrence was good in this one. I don't think
she wasn't. She fucking sucks.
I think she was pretty good. A little stiff.
She sucks in fucking everything. The girl should not have a fucking job, dude. I don't understand. Like, and she gets cast over and over and over and over again, and quite literally is just the worst part of every movie she's in, even the ones that she's like the only part.
Oh, Havoc's an interesting character there. And what do they call her? Raven. They call her Raven throughout the movie. And then they have this whole like side love story going on with her and Professor X and like Magneto, like a love triangle thing going on in that. And I'm trying to remember. First Class, I'm blanking a little bit on what the general storyline is of it. But
they got is that okay? So. No, that's Days of Future Past, where they got Wolverine all in.
Yeah, I'm going to get to that. That's the one I'm going to argue with you about when we get to it, but we'll get to that in a second. First Class is a lot of people's favorite X-Men movie. That's all I'm saying. Like, a lot of people
the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Right, that's what it is. Yeah. And
fucking dumb.
I don't think it's necessarily dumb. I generally enjoy that movie. I don't enjoy it as much personally as the ones that have the original cast members in it, but I like it better than Last Stand. I like it better than Origins if I'm going that. Right now, if we're going down the list on moving orders up, my order right now would be X-Men 2, X-Men First Class, Origins, The Last Stand. That would be my order so far. And we're going to go through the whole order after the fact, but I generally like First Class. I think it's a fun movie. I don't think it's incredibly deep. I don't think it's incredibly needed, but it's fun. Kevin Bacon was your bad guy, and he killed it as your bad guy.
Really?
We lost Joe for a second. Come on, how can you hate on the Bacon?
Easy. It's real easy to hate on the Bacon. The Bacon is not a good actor.
The Bacon's a great actor. Hey,
the Bacon is not a good actor.
Bacon
it's like
is awesome.
Nicolas Cage is a good actor.
He is a good actor. You see Raising Arizona. You tell me Nick Cage isn't a good actor. He is a good actor. He just tries not to be.
His first fucking movie, dude.
Leaving Las Vegas. He's good.
He's a great actor because the one movie
he's also good in Leaving.
Movie he did, I liked.
He's also good in Leaving Las Vegas. He's good when he wants to be.
No. He is not good. Because he surrounds himself by good actors that elevate his performance and directors that make good movies does not make him a good actor. This motherfucker would never have had a job and would not have a job
Tremors,
if he wasn't
dude.
related to a famous fucking family.
What about Tremors, dude? Come on, Tremors. That's such an excellent multi-layered performance. Okay,
No. Kevin Bacon, again, in some great cult classic movies. Right? Flashdance, fucking Tremors, fucking the one where he's got the kids out in the fucking woods and he's a psychopath. Like he's done a lot of good
he's creepy as shit in Sleepers. Like I think
the Mystic River. He's good in that.
Come on,
too.
Bacon is good.
He's not a great actor, and as far as it goes in this movie, the character is shit. The character is so fucking cliche, it's ridiculous, dude. Absolutely fucking ridiculous.
So you think Kevin Bacon and Nick Cage are on the same level? They're okay. They're in good movies. They don't destroy.
No, I think Kevin Bacon's much better than Nicolas Cage. Actually.
Interesting. Okay. I think I don't know so much with Nick Cage. I'm not sure if I love the movies he's in more than his performance, and I just get so titillated by his performance. I see a movie like Face Off with him and Travolta, and I love it. I think he kills it in that movie. I think no one else could play that role but Nick Cage.
So many, yeah, right, because it's a shitty role.
It's not shitty. The movie Face Off is amazing.
Sucks,
that's such an amazing. Fuck you. Fuck you, asshole.
The Rock. It sucked.
The Rock.
I could go on and on about movies that
Sean Connery is so good in The Rock.
But there are some good movies. There are some good movies he's in too, right? You mentioned a couple. I could mention a couple more that are some good movies that he's in. National Treasure wasn't bad. National Treasure 2 sucked.
What about Ghost Rider? No, I'm kidding. Okay, so let's go.
The Ghost Rider movies.
He's good.
We forgot about those. Those come up before X-Men.
All right, yeah.
Well, the first one did anyway.
I think so.
And they're not bad, but they're also fucking. He's the worst part of that movie. And a lot of the CGI.
I can't wait. I can't wait to keep doing these movie review things. We're gonna have a lot of fun doing these. I now officially love doing these, and this is gonna be amazing. Okay, so we'll go past because we're gonna talk.
Ghost Rider is one of my favorite comic books too. Like
yeah, I know you've always loved him. Nick won an Oscar. Face Off was dope. Good. I'm glad I'm getting some Face Off love.
Okay, great. So he fucking campaigned enough. Oscar's a fucking bought and paid for, dude. Don't fucking mix up how that shit works.
The live chat
is bought and fucking paid for.
The live chat is cracking me up. He was devious for sure. Cage would have been great. Don't make us think about things we can't change. Cage has been in some fucking amazing movies. The Walking David in the live motherfucking chat. Great to see you, buddy, and hope you're doing well.
Like I said, just because someone's in amazing movies and maybe even as the star of amazing movies doesn't mean that it's because of them that they're amazing movies.
Okay, so
it really doesn't.
So
you can't forget that.
Okay, Mr. Anthony Hopkins is a bad actor. So
I never said he was a bad
yes,
actor.
you did. Want me to bring up the clip? Want me to bring up the clip?
I got no interest in seeing him do that same role again.
Anyways, okay, so moving our way down to 2000.
He does that great. He does Anthony Hopkins like
no one else. I agree. No one else can do Anthony Hopkins like Anthony Hopkins. As we move on here in this X-Men movie franchise. Oh God, I love you. Okay, we come to what I think is a very uneven but good movie, and I want to talk a lot about this, about the preempt to the movie. We're talking about the Wolverine here. The Wolverine was a movie that was in production development cycle for many, many years. And it's something I followed very closely because the original treatment for the Wolverine was originally done by Darren Aronofsky. If you don't know who Darren Aronofsky is, he did Requiem for a Dream, The Fighter, Black Mirror. He's probably
ass, baby.
in my opinion, one of the best filmmakers out there, and makes movies that are really kind of almost hard to watch, that you watch once and then you're done with it because you can never watch it because you don't want to feel those feelings again. I know, because you love that ass to ass scene. In fact, side story. No, we'll tell that story later. But
No, we
won't tell that story ever. But there's some comparisons to that. Okay, so he was slated. A little bit of a backstory. Darren Aronofsky is always wanted to do a superhero property. After the debacle of the Batman franchise, which we'll get to that in a moment, in the Schumacher Batman shit, Darren Aronofsky was on a short list of directors that was up to do the rebirth of Batman. He really wanted to do a Batman year one. If you do some research on it, you can search YouTube videos or search to read all about this. He had this whole treatment about Batman wasn't really rich. He was a guy in the park riding a bicycle or some shit, and eventually grew into Batman, or he had this like really dark tale, and they almost did it. It was a take on year one that Bruce Wayne was a different sort of person. And he kind of got taken off of it, eventually went to Nolan. Then Aronofsky got attached to the Wolverine. He was going to do this tale of Logan in Japan and seeing that whole dark tale, and he really was inspired to do some sort of superhero movie like this and really deconstruct it and break it down. And then for whatever reason, that all fell apart too, and I think it's why you got
They don't want a deep superhero movie. They want fucking flash and bang, dude.
Then in 2013 they didn't. I think now they do. I think now in the world we live in, you get something like The Boys, that's more of a
and you get something like the Joker
or Deadpool
and
Venom, or all those movies,
or character studies.
Deadpool and Deadpool's done in a more humorous way, but I think Deadpool started this trend, and that where you just break it down. Now, you actually had it before this era too, and I joked about Blank Men before, but Blank Man's a good example of that, which was a sort of deconstruction of that first generation of movies, like the original Batman, the original Superman movie. But anyways, the Wolverine which I think is part of the reason why I find this movie very uneven. I think the first half of it and the first part of it is so deep and dark and gritty, and some of the best I've ever seen Hugh Jackman playing Wolverine, and you really can feel every time he gets hit, every time he feels a scratch.
The whole stupid thing around his fucking heart sucked.
It did kind of suck, but I thought it created a couple of interesting dramatic moments. The stupid part of that movie is at the end when he's fighting the fucking robot. It eventually just gets ridiculously stupid at the end there. I didn't threat of saying anything better about it. I didn't like it. I thought it was silly. I thought it was okay. And this is what Christopher McQuarrie, who went uncredited for his work on the first X-Men, was hired to write the screenplay in August 2009. Darren Aronofsky was chosen to direct the film. He eventually bowed out, stating that the project would keep him out of the country for too long. So that's why he stopped doing it. He didn't want to spend so much time in Japan. So I guess I'm saying this in my wish that Aronofsky eventually does get an opportunity to do something, like let him do Venom 2 or something. I don't know, whatever, just something deeper. Let's go in the live chat for a second. Here we go. Charlie Chapman. Anyone see that shit about Martin? Yeah, I saw that. I don't want to talk too much about that, but we'll do a Scorsese. I read the whole article. People that want to that heard that headline of Scorsese saying that, read the whole breakdown of what he said. And then Joe and I will talk about that on a different show at some point in time. But Joker you saw Joker. Joker was really, really excellently done. You haven't seen it yet? Good movie. When you see it, tell me so we can do a review of it. Or we'll do a Batman DC one of these eventually, or something like that. Okay. So
not including Gotham.
No, we're talking about fucking Gotham, asshole. It's movies, not TV shows.
Right.
Otherwise, I'd have to make you watch all of Flash and Arrow and Legends of Tomorrow.
I can't, dude.
Dude, you're hurting Broke. Don't. Broke's one of our
best thing about Flash is that Flash was Flash's dad. Flash from the original.
Oh yeah, the
Flash.
70s Flash. They played
the 90s Flash was Flash's dad.
So
in jail. Fucking awesome.
The Wolverine, though, I think it's a good movie. I wouldn't call it one of my favorites. I would almost put it dead center of the list, where I think it's well done. I think it's directed well. I think it looks good. I think there's just some unevenness to it that makes it hard to be a complete winner in what they set out to do.
But it does tie in with our original Wolverine standalone in that we see him fighting in World War II and part of the military.
And even though you are 100% wrong and don't like Logan, it connects to Logan as well. It's a good trilogy of Wolverine
the trilogy,
films.
Yep.
In a sense, do have some connective tissue through the three of them.
Now, here's the thing: I just don't think Logan is the best of.
No, we got a couple of movies to go. But I mean, we can talk about Logan now. It's in 2017, but let's just get through the list here.
No, let's finish the way we do.
And the Wolverine
X-Men: Days of Future Past really sucked.
Awesome, fucking okay. Tell me why you think it sucks, so I can wax poetically about it for a few minutes before we go.
Just the whole sitting in is now. This is the one with what fucking
okay, let me set several years after the Wolverine. The film features the cast of the original X-Men trilogy and the X-Men First Class cast. The story, inspired by the Uncanny X-Men book Days of Future Past, features Wolverine going back in time to 1973 to prevent an assassination. If carried out, will lead to the creation of the Sentinels
by having a mutant make his mind go into his own mind 30 years in the past.
Yeah, and in fairness, it's Kitty Pryde that suddenly has this weird power that they never explained before.
Dude.
Okay, that aspect of it, I'll accept to you that is a little stretchy, even within a universe like this. And I believe in the way it was done in the comics. I don't think
it almost would have made more sense for Professor X to do it to himself.
But that's the thing, and people can correct me in the live chat or in the comment section afterwards. In the comic version of Days of Future Past, it isn't Logan that gets sent back. I believe it's someone else that does have some sort of makes more sense for it to happen. People. I did talk about the Wolverine, Broke. We just glossed over it a little bit. I think you just zipped out for a second, but yeah, we did talk about the Wolverine.
Really good movie until he starts fighting the fucking
the giant robot. The robots at
robot.
the end. It is against the machines, humans, machines. We'll talk about the Matrix movies at some point too.
And the fucking daughter's a fucking idiot. Are you fucking kidding me? Everybody's trying to kill me, and they're trying to kill me everywhere, but. Just let me go. Fucking stupid.
So in the Days of Future Past, the storyline alternates between the 80s Sentinels and just Sentinels over attempts to send Kitty Pryde's mind backwards. Okay, so in the comic version of it, it's just Kitty Pryde that goes back. They don't it's not her sending Logan back. It's her phasing time and somehow sending her mind back in time or something, I believe. So yes, that's what Adrian's saying in the live chat too. So yeah, it's
right. So they completely introduce a character that nobody knows anything about.
Oh no, Kitty's Pryde's introduced in the cartoons and people know.
No, we're talking about the movies.
Isn't she in one of the previous movies?
Which one? Doing what?
No, okay, so Ellen
around the fucking school as a little girl. That's not introducing her. That's like, oh, was that Kitty? No, I mean, absolutely nothing.
No,
anything from this chick, and now she's doing something that is absolutely pivotal.
Fine,
it's kind of fucking insulting and bad.
They put some dog shit on the pill to go down my throat, but either way, once the medicine hits me, I feel good about it. I think performance-wise, you get Patrick Stewart back, and maybe his best performance in all of the movies next to Logan. He really carries through. You get the connection between the two Professor X's, the two Magnetos. You see all those connections. Hugh Jackman again kicks ass in this movie. I really fucking love the way they do Quicksilver in this movie, especially compare it to what was
to any of the other speedsters and anything.
I love the way they did
fucking hit it right for a change.
Yeah, okay, so you agree with me on that. Good. I love the way they
That's the best part of it. Okay, so I'm not saying Days of Future Past is not the worst in the list.
Sebastian.
I gotta say that as well.
Oh yes, no, I'm sorry. Absolutely, thank you, Broke, for remembering that. Kitty Pryde was the person that she is in the movie. She's the one that defeats Juggernaut by zipping through his body and grabbing him. So yeah, Kitty Pryde is introduced. And thank you, live chat, for telling Joe he's wrong. So
in what movie?
I believe it's in X-Men 3, running through walls and shit. There's a scene where she's running away from Juggernaut, and Juggernaut's breaking through walls as she's running through walls. And the reason why you don't remember her is, and it's fair to you, I'm not telling you you're an idiot here. The reason why you don't remember her is because X-Men 3 has so many fucking characters that they throw in there at the wall, and they just throw that one didn't stick with your mind, I don't blame you. But yes, she is in X-Men 3. Thank you.
And are we sure that's fucking Kitty Pryde? Is it even the same actress?
Yeah, I believe it's Ellen Page as well. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong.
Ellen Page.
She's awesome. Yeah, she's really great in the role. Yes, it is her, and I believe she's in both movies. Peter Dinklage was in one of them. Dink was in he was in First Class, right? He was Trask, the guy who introduced the whole Sentinel program.
Yep.
So yes, the Dink is in First Class, I believe. And yes, that was Last Stand. Thank you. Okay, so yeah, so they did introduce her, Joe, in fairness, but it makes a lot more sense in the way it was done in the comic story, that it was her mind being sent and phased back through time. So I agree with you that it was a way of ham-fisting Hugh Jackman as our lead character again in a movie, instead of trying to sell it on a character that was barely, in your mind, that someone like you who actually pays attention didn't even remember that she was in a movie, because X-Men 3 is so many characters and it is so fucking forgettable. Yeah, Iceman.
And I just found it all to be, again, like,
and broke
very, very tropey, very cliche. Oh, we're doing that. Like, basically, every scene of them in that fucking room waiting for the Sentinels to come was just so fucking reminiscent of the Matrix.
Yeah, no, and she's in X-Men.
Waiting for those Sentinels to come and fucking kill.
And I thought, but
kill them all in the fucking.
No, fairness. I do like how the Sentinels were depicted in the movie. They were definitely scary as well. And fandom, just for another mental trigger to you for Last Stand. Iceman kissed Kitty Pryde, and that was the last push that eventually sent Rogue to go take the cure because she was jealous. Kitty Pryde ended up being the other girl in the love triangle with Iceman when Rogue was getting upset that she couldn't touch him, and they were flirty. Iceman and Kitty Pryde were flirty. She was like the new girl.
Shit character.
Cheers.
What a shit! Like everything that Rogue, every part of Rogue fucking sucked, dude.
And it's
that's
shame.
why they dumped her.
It's a shame to me because, again, what I was saying about Gambit, as you know, because of the cartoon, Gambit and Rogue were two of my favorite characters. And I feel like they never quite gave Rogue justice in any of these movies.
Well, the actress that played Rogue sucks.
She's not very good.
And like, worst part of True Blood.
I never watched True Blood, but she's from True Blood?
Yep. The absolute fucking worst part of that fucking show.
Patrick O'Malley.
And I watched every fucking episode. Like, and there's a lot of bad shit about it, but guilty pleasure, and she sucked.
In chess, the pawns go first. Magneto, yeah, Patrick, love that. X-Men 3 was a clusterfuck. Dink was in. But again, Days of Future Past to me is one of my favorite of them. I think it's directed and hooked well. Does it all make sense? No, but it's almost one of those ones that the sum of the parts make me forgiving of it.
Every scene that takes place in the future or the present, whatever you want to call it, like, really fucking sucked, dude. Really fucking sucked. Oh no! You gotta hurry! Don't die, Logan! They're gonna come and kill us! Oh no! I mean, I'm fucking stupid, dude. It's just so fucking stupid.
Oh, I love
no
it.
tension whatsoever. You know they're gonna fucking be successful. I mean,
you never can. You never can tell in things like that. You could have had that be the end of the entire X-Men franchise and had them lose, but
of course it's not going to be.
But you know that eventually, if you go to Logan, eventually. Oh no, Professor X kills all of them if you go by the Logan storyline. So, anyways, let's go. Let's continue on here. Days of Future Past are one that Joe and I are somewhat disagreeing on it. If we're doing Siskel and Ebert, I'm enthusiastic thumbs up. Would that be another one of the thumbs down for you? Or a thumbs medium?
I'd say this.
Would you consider that one of your least favorite?
It's one of my least favorites. It's very low on the list. Yeah.
So let me, as I'm going to run upstairs and go grab some sandwich meat quickly, let me pass it over to you, Garth, to take over the show for a second, to talk about one of your favorites of the X-Men list, and mine as well. 2016's Deadpool. So Joe, take over for a few minutes.
It's the best one. Wade Wilson is perfectly cast by Ryan Reynolds. I do have to say though, I can't stand the dude that is his friend there, the barkeep. I can't even remember his fucking name at the moment. He sucks. He sucks in everything he's ever fucking been in. He's the worst part of anything he's ever been in. And I really wish, for what it's worth, we do get Bob. Bob does make an appearance in Deadpool, only for a second as one of the soldiers. Bob, is that you? I haven't seen you in forever. in like the final scene. Aside from that, it's very well cast. I love the fucking dynamic between him and his girlfriend there. I forget the actress who plays.
Isn't that his real? Oh no, or is that the dude from Gotham's real life, or is that Ryan Reynolds? No, because Ryan Reynolds is with Blake Lively. That guy, that woman who's also in Gotham is, I believe, the wife or the girlfriend of Ryan Atwood from the OC, or the main actor from Gotham, or that show you like that he's in, Joe. What's that actor's name? You would know him if you saw him. He's the main actor. He plays for Gordon on Gotham. I'm blanking on his name, but he's on another show that you.
Oh, from Southland.
Southland, yeah.
Ben
something.
Benjamin.
Yeah, even if you don't like
Benjamin something.
Even if you don't like the OC or Gotham, I like that guy as an actor.
No, she was in Gotham too.
Yes, she plays a psychiatrist in Gotham in a later season, and his girlfriend.
His girlfriend, right? Yeah. She's awesome in that. She's well cast. They are supposed to be so filthy with each other, and they didn't pull any punches with these characters. She's a prostitute. He knows it. He loves it. He loves her. Like, they didn't pull it. They were very true to the comic books. It needed to be R-rated. It just a great movie overall.
Yeah.
From what I in my perspective, it's the best. If you include it as an X-Men movie, it is hands down the best X-Men movie.
And watch more Gotham, Joe. Someone says Gotham does have some amazing points. I've tried to sell Gotham on Joe to Joe.
I watched the first couple of seasons.
Yeah, and it's one of those shows that isn't always great, but if you embrace the cheese aspect of it,
I hate Fish. I hate fucking what's
she's
her name?
not on it for that much longer. She spoiler alert, she's
comes
not
back for season 3.
She does, but when she comes back, she only comes back for spots. She is one of the worst things on that show, absolutely, because she plays it like she's playing Eartha Kitt, and it's just not the tone of the show exactly. But when they do some creepy storylines, some villains that they do takes on, it's done in a reasonably interesting way. People in the live chat, Benjamin Linus. Hey, no Lost references, Ian. It's going to trigger me. The numbers. Great actor. That guy plays Benjamin Linus, by the way. Deadpool. I didn't hear a lot of what Joe said, but I'd pretty much probably reiterate everything. I think an interesting aspect of the Deadpool movie, the first one, when you think about it, is that it's one of those movies that might never have happened if Ryan Reynolds didn't push it through.
Yes, it never would have happened. Never would have happened.
He really made that shit happen because of his embarrassment of playing Green Lantern in that first Deadpool that Joe likes. But he wanted that so bad.
And the scene. That opening scene where he's killing everybody on the fucking highway, that was filmed with an iPhone.
I didn't know that.
It was filmed with iPhone, and it was filmed separately in first.
Yeah, it was the thing that he used.
The making of the movie.
Yeah, which is a good point, Joe, and I almost forgot about that. Ryan Reynolds, I believe out of his own money, produced this little short to show what it would be like to do a real Deadpool, and then he tried to sell it, and it's great stuff, and I think keeps the
right, the popularity of what he did, and the fact that they used iPhones to do it was a big push. Like, look what they were able to do with the iPhones, and how great the clarity is, and it was brilliant. It was brilliant the way he got that movie made.
And it was brilliant the way he played that movie too. And to go to what you say,
no one else could do that.
Right, I was just going to say that, Joe. I've been saying this a lot. We talk about anyone can play this character, other people can play this character. I don't think anyone could play that character as well as Ryan Reynolds. And the one thing I missed out on, I almost want to see a movie to come out I know a lot of people don't love movies like this all the time, but I really am a big fan of versus movies, whether they be the old school King Kong versus Godzilla movies, whether they be rock albums of Buddy Rich versus Gene Krupa.
AVP.
Because I think those are poorly done the way they're made. I think the best one of those is Freddy versus Jason, because they actually do what people want to see. But I would love to see them somehow get Hugh Jackman out of retirement of playing Wolverine and do a Deadpool versus Wolverine movie. That the whole movie, I mean, like an hour and even a TV special. Fine, Netflix, do it as an hour special. And just give me an hour of them, or Disney Plus. Give me an hour of them kicking the shit out of each other. You can throw Spider-Man in there too. You can have a 3-way battle, because I very much enjoy comics when Deadpool fucks with Spider-Man too. Him
And Wolverine and Spider-Man go at it a couple
as
times,
well too.
okay?
So you could almost have like a 3-way fight where you have the movie be Spider-Man versus Wolverine versus Deadpool. I would watch the shit out of that movie to death. I don't care.
Oh, yeah.
You don't have to have any plot. The plot could be
Just them fucking
just them
around
fucking
in New York.
exactly. And I would love every goddamn fucking second of that. So someone make that happen, even in a cartoon. Like, but you need to have Ryan Reynolds do the voice of Deadpool because it's one of those characters that only Reynolds can do it. Pretty much any actor could try to do it, but not everyone can pull off that wise assery in a believable, organic way. Ryan Reynolds is fucking special, as Reese said in the live chat, and I've seen that in the theater. Oh yes, FVJ. I remember it was fucking great. I love Frankenstein versus Wolfman versus Dracula. I love all those verse movies. They're kind of Abbott and Costello meets Frankenstein, whatever. They're cheesy in their depiction, but they can be very fun, almost, what's the word, like relieving movies because you don't care about the plot. The plot of the movie is to watch these two people kick the shit out of each other. So yeah, I would kill to see that kind of movie. And I mean, we can talk about Deadpool 2 when we get to it in 2018, but I feel like we should just talk about Deadpool 2 as well. I think everything I can say that I liked great about Deadpool 1, I liked about Deadpool 2. I think I liked Deadpool 1 a little bit more. I think it's just a little tighter of a project put together, and I think Ryan Reynolds' performance is excellent in both. I think I like Colossus a little bit better in Colossus in the first one, right? And second one is Cable. Yeah, the first one is Colossus. I think he's a better foil for him and stuff in the first movie. And again, I'm confusing the two of them in my mind. I see them as one big movie, so it's kind of hard to differentiate a little bit. One quick thing I want to say about Deadpool 2. If you haven't seen this, there's a censored version of it called Once Upon a Deadpool, I think it's called.
On a Deadpool,
and it's cheesy as hell, but because they cut out a lot of the hardcore stuff and some of the language, but it's worth it just to watch the scenes with him and Fred Savage. It's all coupled with a Princess Bride joke where he kidnaps Fred Savage, brings him to the bedroom that the Princess Bride was in, and sits him there and makes him have to listen to it all. Fred Savage, who has grown into a tremendously funny comic actor. He's great in Austin Powers. He was really amazing in this television series called The Closer with him and Rob Lowe.
I like that.
It was short-lived, but very cheesy, sitcom-y, but Fred Savage kicked ass. Pretty much anything he puts himself in, he's just really funny.
He's ready to make fun of himself.
Exactly. And seeing him finally kind of
Holy moly.
Yeah, just great fucking stuff. What about was Dario in it? The one average guy in Deadpool was my favorite teammate. Fucked up. Fuck Once Upon Deadpool.
Yeah, Dario was the bad guy.
Oh yeah, I forgot Dario was the bad guy. And I know the whole movie as itself, fuck it broke because it's a censored, watered down version. But go check out those. If you haven't seen Once Upon Deadpool and you've seen Deadpool 2, it's not worth watching.
Francis.
But go watch all of the Fred Savage scenes on YouTube just to watch him and Fred Savage interact. It's really effing hilarious. All we see is pretty boys getting the superhero roles. Will someone like me get a superhero role? Giggity, giggity, Peter Griffin. I know. We need to see Peter Griffin. Okay, so let's get into these last few movies, and then Joe and I are gonna give some sort of a list of our orders, and we definitely love to hear some of your orders as well. Damn, Phil, come on. We get into X-Men Apocalypse. Now, X-Men Apocalypse is probably a movie that is horribly forgettable for me. I don't think it's tremendously bad, but I don't think it's
with the Pharaoh, the first.
Yeah,
movie.
with Poe from Star Wars movies is our villain in this one.
And it's okay. It's almost like Stargate meets X-Men.
Yeah.
Kind of dumb.
Yeah, it's
they never should have made it.
No, they should have made it, but they should have done it right. I think Apocalypse is an interesting story that is one of the more interesting X-Men villains that has some viability in a movie, kind of almost like Galactus in the Fantastic Four movie. But they just did Galactus like shit, and they did Apocalypse like shit. I think the concept of a villain like that, or with in the DC universe with Doomsday or something, like a character like that coming into the story, I don't think is inherently bad or stupid if it's done right or in a fun way.
They did it like shit.
And they did it like shit, especially if you compare it to the cartoon or the way the comic was done. This version of Apocalypse was just unmenacing visually, even the way they made the character look. I'm not a big proponent of CG all the time, but they needed to CG him up a little bit to make him look more intimidating. Instead, he just looked like a cheesy guy in a bad cosplay costume.
This is the most forgettable movie as far as I'm concerned, was the Apocalypse movie.
Me too. Me too, because it's not tremendously bad enough that I'm going to be like, fuck this movie, it's horrible. It's just like, meh. It was a poor, almost seemed like sometimes like it would be a movie that would come out in the late 80s, early 90s. Like except for some of the effects, it just didn't have balls to it. It didn't have weight to it. It didn't have emotion to it. I think some of the performances, again, McAvoy's great, and
again, to me, I gotta say, it's like X-Men meets Stargate meets The Mummy.
Yeah, and they ruined the Four Horsemen twice. It's just I liked it because the cage match had the Shadow King in it. Apocalypse was just fucked. Let's admit it. That was my only reason for real. And Shadow King was one of my favorite villains too, especially in the olden days, because he's one of the olden people that can really get a hand on Professor X. I think they fucked up not making the Shadow King have some sort of connection in the second movie, be inhabiting Stryker's son, and made that kid the Shadow King, and have that. Then it would have made a lot more sense in X-Men 2, which is one of my one side points, that some kid gets it over on Professor X. Yeah, because they implant something. Oh no, that's in the first movie. But where Mystique implants the thing in Cerebro to kind of set Professor X off for a while. I'm confused in the first two movies. But I think that kid could have had some sort of Shadow King connection in X-Men 2 and made us care a little bit more, or have a better representation of that character. Because I'm with you. I always loved the concept of the Shadow King, and as someone that can kind of get one over on Professor X relatively easy. But X-Men Apocalypse, just again, Joe, like we're both saying, I think it's just an incredibly forgettable one in the series. I do. I think in that it's just not tremendously good, not tremendously bad. No real fun scenes I'm like remembering in my mind. That I'm like, oh, I remember that. I like how Killmonger's like, what movie? What movie? Exactly. What fucking movie? What fucking movie? And yes, I'm agreeing with myself. I'm like agreeing with you, agreeing with me. That's such a Joe move right there. I'm agreeing with you, agreeing with me. Yeah, you're right. You're right, I'm right. Yeah, absolutely. 100% you're right, I'm right. Phil, watch Legion. Okay, I haven't watched Legion yet, but I hear nothing but good things. Isn't the chat...
No, dude, it's I've heard good things too, but it's too abstract.
But isn't at one point the reason why someone's saying that thing is I believe the Shadow King's in it, and so is Xavier's kid, I believe, and
he's the star of it. Okay. It's just way too fucking abstracty.
Hey, I think I thought it
was shit.
In fairness, I think I dig abstracty, weird stuff like that a little bit more than you do, so I might like it.
You might. I'm not going to say you will or you won't, but I just couldn't get into it. I'm not saying it's shit. I'm just saying I really couldn't get into it.
Ree's like, why the fuck not? And it's because, and I haven't seen the show, so I don't know. There's a lot of like dream sequency type stuff.
Yes, exactly.
Joe hates everything. Joe, if you don't know it.
Episode after episode, it's almost entirely dream sequences.
Joe's least favorite episodes of The Sopranos are the dream episodes. He cannot stand anything dream sequence oriented. It's immediate brain turn off for you. You like it's like me with medical procedurals. Like the minute
dreams are fucking stupid and they don't mean shit, people. Get over. What does that mean in my dream? Come on, get the fuck out of here with that bullshit.
Dreams are fucking stupid. Okay, speaking of things that aren't stupid and probably our biggest fight here, I'm going to go into my favorite of the X-Men movies, and spoiler alert, number one on my list, and that's Logan. I know you're going to be like, fuck you, it's not the fucking best of them. I like the grittiness of it. I like how the tone is different than the rest of the movies. I find the storyline. Let me take Joe off camera so I don't have to look at him, roll his eyeballs at me while I talk about the story. Why don't you say what you
stupid.
Tell me what you hate about it so I can wax poetic.
Their whole entire fucking plan, let's go get on a fucking boat and sail while he's fucking flipping out and he's going to sink the fucking boat, dude. Come on.
But I think part of it is that they both want to die.
It's dude.
Okay.
I just thought it was pretty dumb. Patrick Stewart's fucking awesome. And God, if That didn't make you want to fucking cry. That little girl is really fucking good.
Yeah, okay, exactly. Okay, so let's get into this fact that this is one of our biggest fundamental disagreements when we come on to things. Even if which I actually like the storyline, it didn't poke a lot of holes in my question because I got so focused on the story and learning and the history between the two characters and what's happened to lead us to this
metal
point.
back in them? Didn't they take the metal out of Logan at some point?
Yeah.
Who the fuck put the metal back in him?
Some of the stuff doesn't match up, but I do like the performances. The performance of Patrick Stewart in, I think it's almost his best performance in the entire X-Men series. I think it's Hugh Jackman's best performance maybe ever. I just think as a acting performance, and the little girl is so good in a role that could be deemed as an also-ran, and little kids are so tough to cast. I love the completion at the end where she's the spiritual successor. I love all the backstory that we get hinted that Professor X killed most of the X-Men because he started to lose his fucking mind, and then you start to really question when someone has that much power how he could easily destroy everyone. I like the weight of it, Joe, where I find like every other X-Men movie, I don't really feel a lot of stakes. In this movie,
right.
I knew that they were you didn't know, but you had a big feeling like this movie could end with both of them fucking dying, and it fucking does. And I think that is, and then Wolverine versus the young version of himself, I thought that was done really well too. And I don't know, I loved everything about that movie, and I thought all in all, it was my favorite of all the X-Men movies, because I feel like it's the best movie. I feel like even if it does have holes, because I think all these movies have fucking holes that we could pick apart.
Right, but here's the thing. Wolverine can't fucking die, dude.
He did.
Well,
we don't know that. That was speculated. His regeneration, they make it a point to tell you his regeneration isn't really working anymore. So over time, over the 200 years he's survived, eventually that's going to wear off. He's not immortal.
Come on now.
You're telling me Claire from Heroes is immortal? That eventually you can find.
He reached into his own fucking chest. His heart fucking stopped, and his regeneration started it back up again. He cut Deadpool, right? Deadpool is made on him, from him, by him, right? Deadpool doesn't exist without fucking Wolverine. Literally in the universe. Maybe not in these movies. You could cut fucking Deadpool's head off, and Deadpool will grow back. There's no killing Wolverine, just like there's no killing fucking Deadpool.
I love what Reese says. I cried over Professor X, but fuck Wolverine. His time, and he'll be back. X-23 is a fucking badass. I cried in Logan. I cried like a baby in Logan as well. I think Patrick Stewart, regardless of what you want, and you've said it a couple of times, Joe, so I'm not gonna eat your lunch too much. Regardless of what you think about this movie, is there any doubt that was one of Patrick Stewart's best performances, though?
Dude, you can just imagine, that's like 10 years down the road for this fucking man. You can almost see that happening in real life this guy's getting to that age,
Yeah.
where it happens to these people at that age.
And
he's still sharp as a motherfucking whip, and to see him doing that is just fucking, it's heartbreaking.
It is heartbreaking.
I don't want to see Patrick Stewart.
And I don't want to see anyone.
Like
and
that.
like with my mom's situation, it's like, you start seeing those people that are like strong personalities get to that point. That's my biggest fear. Like we're all gonna die. We're all gonna face our demons. We're all gonna be broken down to nothing.
But
yeah, if the one way I don't like, there's a lot of bad ways to go, and
especially for someone who had
such a brain, or like with my mother's case, it was such a royal, arrogant, kind of cocky personality bitch. Like to see her be broken down to a little whiny baby essentially by the end, it's torture. And for like us being like loudmouth, arrogant hippie bastards, it's like, yeah, any way you go is gonna suck. But losing your mind to me is the worst way in that sense, especially when it's so much part of your identity. Is there such thing as a bad Patrick Stewart performance? No. I mean, there's not that I can think of. Nothing's popping out to mind. I even think he's amazing in Conspiracy Theory, that Mel Gibson movie where he plays a villain, where they try to make him like the main villain, and it's sort of a weird role for him. If you haven't seen it, but I still think he's like sadistically fucked in that movie in a very fun, Clockwork Orangey kind of way. The movie said adamantium was poisoning him and killing his powers. Joe, they had to nerf him to get people to cry in the end of the film, says Broke. I always wondered why no super strong characters ripped Wolverine apart from the lower back. Similar to the way to the way Doomsday just like beat Superman to fucking death, just like beat him down. That's a rhetorical. Is there such a performance? That's a rhetorical question, Phil. I see Fury. Great to see you in the live motherfucking chat. Long time, brother. That was real. That was bad, especially for Professor X's mind was down. Kind of karmic though. Brian Dodd. Great to see so many of our old friends popping in the live chat. X-23 was badass. So Joe, I get what you're saying. I understand your gripes with the movie, and I think reasonably speaking, you have reasonable gripes on it. But to me, I just think it has the most depth of any of the X-Men movies, which in the best character driven piece, which by definition for me and what I pick out of things is the best movie. I can't argue with you about Deadpool in the sense of that versus that. They're both extremely successful in the story that they're trying to tell. And again, you can say you like things, you don't like things, and that's fun, kind of part of the fun we have here. But I also like to look at the question of how successful were they at trying to make the film that they were trying to make. The last movie that we have to talk about here that Joe's seen that I haven't seen, Dark Phoenix, and in the association with X-Men Last Stand, those were two attempts to tell the Dark Phoenix story. Failed in both ends. They're bad movies, and it's not just I didn't like that movie, I don't get it. It's those are horrible representations of a pretty good, damn good X-Men storyline. Some would say the best X-Men storyline of the Dark Phoenix story. So I think Logan, regardless of shut the fuck up, Joe, here, and fun that we can go back and forth. I think you can. I know you don't see why people love it so much, but can't you see why people love it so much? Like, can't you see like?
No, I understand why people think it's a good movie. There's definitely aspects.
It's
of
not
it, but...
It's not Birdman to you, like where it's.
Fuck,
I love, and I want to be
trash.
clear. We're not going to talk about that movie, but I love Birdman. I think it's an excellent movie. Joe thinks it's
I like
trash.
The one shot.
Right.
That's it.
That's the whole movie. It's one shot.
That's it.
So you like the whole movie.
Part of that movie.
But
no. That's the technical aspect.
Okay.
Everything
else.
Else.
Everything else. I don't want to go down that road again.
Yeah,
but my point is that movie is different than Logan. Like you get that Logan's a good movie that maybe just didn't connect with you on the right point, right?
It had its problems, but it's higher. It's higher up on the list than you think that I've put it.
Okay.
So.
Good. Fair enough. And last but not least, Joe, I didn't see this movie. Talk a little bit about Dark Phoenix.
Dark Phoenix. I have nothing to say about that movie. That piece of trash. Dog shit. Fucking horrible teen actors doing a horrible fucking movie.
Awful. Okay. So anyone in the live chat, people say I just waste a couple of hours.
Again, the best thing about Dark Phoenix is the guy that plays Professor X.
James McAvoy. Does he do good performance in it?
Yep. The Fassbender scene sucked. But McAvoy is fucking awesome.
Yeah. And I think it's a shame. I think it's Apocalypse that's made me not want to see Dark Phoenix because everyone keeps telling me it's worse than Apocalypse, and I'm not sure I want that. Because unlike you, and I'm not saying, again, they'll be higher on the list.
It is. It's the worst. It's the worst.
I like First Class and Days of Future Past better than you, and I feel like Apocalypse almost ruined that for me, and I feel like Dark Phoenix will put the nail in the coffin of it when I end up seeing it. And I really have heard nothing but awful things about it, so I'm
it's awful.
Okay, so now that we've gone through the list of the movies, let's start thinking about what our order would be. So worst on the list, I have to take Dark Phoenix out of the equation because I haven't seen it, but I'm going to take Joe's word for it and put that at the bottom of my list too. So worst on the list of all the X-Men movies for me and for Joe, I believe as well, where we agree on this one, would be Dark Phoenix.
And then Apocalypse. Well, let's go in reverse order.
So
instead of number one, let's start with the fucking number shit.
So that's what I'm saying. So the number shit on your list would be Dark Phoenix, number one shit. Number two shit would be X-Men Apocalypse.
Yes.
And number three would be
Days of Future Past.
Interesting.
Oh,
okay.
The Last Stand.
Last Stand. Okay. Then Days of Future Past.
Then Days of Future Past. Yep.
Then it's where we get difficult.
Then The Last Stand. Did I already say
You said Last Stand. Then would probably you it would be probably First Class, right? This is tough.
Is that which one had Silver Fuck? Had Fasty Boy.
Days of Future Past.
Boy.
Days of Future Past.
And do one of them have Silver Surfer, or is this a different? series.
That's different. That's I believe Silver Surfer pops up in the first Fantastic Four, the Alba Fantastic Four one. So I'm going to make this list for you. So Joe, you're Dark Phoenix because I want to write this down. Dark Phoenix number 1. And this is the shit order. Number 2, you said Apocalypse. Then you say Last Stand. Then you would say First Class or Days of Future Past.
Days of Future Past.
Days. And then you're going to say First Class.
Yep.
Then you're going to say... Okay, you got to tell me from here.
X2.
X2, okay.
Wolverine Origins.
Origin.
Then... no. Put the Wolverine in there
After First Class.
Wolverine. Correct. Then X2.
Then Origins.
Then Logan, then X-Men.
Then Logan, then X-Men, and then Deadpool's number 1.
And then Deadpool number 1.
What
and Deadpool,
Joe,
again, both of those movies are.
Let's read Joe's list here so we can, because Joe, this list sucks. You're fucking horseshit here. So Joe's favorite of the X-Men movies is the Deadpool 1, Deadpool 2. His favorite X-Men movie is X-Men the first one, then Logan, then X-Men Wolverine Origins, then X2, then the Wolverine, then First Class, Days of Future Past, The Last Stand, Apocalypse, and at the bottom of his list, Dark Phoenix. Joe, your list is shit. Okay, my turn. my turn. Okay, so yours isn't really shit. So my least favorite, I'm going to go in the same direction. My least favorite, I'm going to put Dark Phoenix there because I trust you on that one, Joe, when you say it's horseshit, okay? So the next one I would put would be Last Stand. Last Stand is the worst one I've seen. Then I would probably put Apocalypse.
What is our order there is just reversed.
Apocalypse. Right? Then I'd put Origins. Yeah, it's that low. Then I'd put oh my god, this is weird stuff. The Wolverine.
See, but that's just like that other movie we were talking about, the Wolverine and Origins. The first half, 3/4 of the movie is fucking fantastic, dude.
Then I put First Class. Then I would put First Class. Then I'm gonna put X2. Okay. I'm sorry. I'm having trouble. We probably should have figured this out beforehand. But next,
I tried to. I wanted to.
I know. I wanted to do this live on the air and have some fun with this. I would. So X-Men. I'm sorry. I'm looking through all this list, and people in the live chat, definitely give us your lists as well and tell us who you think whose list is closer here, and Future Past and Deadpool's. Okay, so I think I think in Deadpool 2. So this is my list from top to bottom. Number 1, Logan. Number 2, X2. Number 3, Days of Future Past. Number 4, X-Men. Number 5, Deadpool. Number 6, Deadpool 2. Then First Class, The Wolverine, Origins.
The Deadpool movie's way too fucking low, dude.
First Class, The Wolverine, Origins, Apocalypse, Last Stand, and then last Dark Phoenix because I haven't seen it.
See, Deadpool 2 I would actually put lower on the list. I wouldn't tie that up there. With
right, fair enough. I mean,
that would go much
the
lower
Deadpool ones, I almost feel like I'm glad we talked about them, but they don't belong in the list. You know, like they're.
If you include the Deadpool movies, Deadpool, the first one, is the best of all of these fucking movies. And I don't understand how you get X2 above X-Men.
I think X2 is just a better movie. I think it takes everything that's good about that first movie and makes it better. So I want to read the live chat a little bit what a couple people are saying. Ree says Deadpool number 1, Last Stand, Dark Phoenix, Last Stand, Days of Future Past. This is from worst to first. Apocalypse, Wolverine. FC is what's FC? FC is
X3 is The Last Stand.
Oh yes, no. X2, X-Men, Deadpool 2, Deadpool 1, and let's see. Broke says Dark Phoenix, The Last Stand, The Wolverine, Age of Apocalypse, X-Men Origins, X-Men 2, Deadpool 2, X-Men 1, Deadpool 1, number 1 Logan. I dig Wade in Magneto. I wanted to be Storm when I was a kid. So basically our lists are a lot different, but I think in general, no, I mean our lists are a lot different. I was gonna say there's not even a lot of except for the fact I would probably put the first Deadpool movie above the first X-Men movie. I'm looking at my list. I want to change it a little bit. I would probably do, because I think you're right. I think that first Deadpool movie is a lot better than the second one, but really good. My final draft on the list from best to worst would be Logan number 1, X2 number 2, Days of Future Past number 3, Deadpool number 4, X-Men the original number 5, Deadpool 2 number 6, and those are all the good ones, the really good ones. Then we get to First Class, which is okay, Wolverine, that's okay, Origins, that's okay, but kind of trash. Then Apocalypse, which is total trash, Last Stand, which is complete horse shit, and Dark Phoenix, that I'm going to take your word for it, is even trashier. Yep. Joe's list, again, one more time, is Deadpool number 1. Deadpool number 1, X-Men the first one number 2, X-Men Logan number 3, Origins number 4, X2 number 5, Wolverine number 6, First Class number 7, Days of Future Past number 8, Last Stand number 9, Apocalypse, and then the shit ones, the last one, the Phoenix. So yeah, those are our X-Men lists. This was fun, Joe.
This was our mutant cast.
It was our mutant cast. We hope you guys enjoy this kind of thing. We're going to try to do things like this more often now that we can. And do we have a text message right here? Oh, here we go. Me trying to think of big boobies so I don't get a boner in my new Spider-Man costume from Joe's Spider-Man Day. We have a Professor X meme that I'll send you. I'll send to you at some point. That's fucking hilarious. And do we have a voicemail too? Someone called but only left like a 2-second voicemail. So maybe if this is either nothing or someone just saying fuck you for not liking Logan, Joe. No, it was nothing. A couple of other people in the live chat. We'll say Deadpool number 1, Logan number 3, First Class, everything else, then X3, says Patrick. I like that. Okay, the one thing about the Fantastic Four movie, we're just going to transition over this to the second Fantastic Four movie. I have to admit I never even saw the reboot one. I didn't see. I did see the first two, the Jessica Alba ones. I mainly watched those movies because of 2 actors that I think did good performances in them. I think Michael Chiklis as the Thing was effective in that role, and I think he looked really cool in it as well.
And Chris.
And I think Chris Evans was decent in the role of the human.
Yeah.
But no, I'm talking about my boy Christian Troy as Doc Doom. I know people can trash him all they want.
Good. He did real good.
If he was in a better movie playing Doc Doom, I think he could have pulled it off. I think he's in a shitty movie, but I think if anyone's actually watched Nip Tuck, you can see why they were thinking casting him in that role. And I think he's an exceptionally good actor that is underutilized in those movies because they're written like trash. And they're written like soap opera trash. And people are like, Nip Tuck's soap opera trash. Nah, not the first few seasons of it. I think Nip Tuck shows some extra depth, and I think the actor who was also on Charmed excellently plays a demon on Charmed. That's Beelzebub, or whatever the fuck his name is. Phoebe's boyfriend there.
It's does begin with a B.
It's Cole. No, it's not Cole, is it? But I mean, he has 2 names. He has his demon name and he has his real name. But I really like that actor. I like Julian McMahon, I believe is his name.
It does begin with a B. I know it does.
But I'm blanking on it. If any Charmed fans can correct us in the live chat at some point, or I named my kid Cole. No, maybe it was Cole because Regis said I named my kid Cole. It was Cole. So yeah, I was right. It's Cole. It's Cole. But his actual demon name began with a B. But I think as shitty as those movies are, he's one of the pieces of turds shining in it. About the reboot, I turned it off. He's the ultimate evil. Yes. So I think Doc Doom is an interesting character that I hope they explore more and they cast correctly. I do think Julianne Moore did a decent job in that movie though. renamed her kid after the character from Charmed. Cool. That's fucking awesome. And I love him and Phoebe, and Charmed was never the same after he left. Once they wrote him off the show, the show kind of started to suck. And yes, I do like the first. It wasn't when Shannon left, which I think the best of Charmed is when Shannon was there, but I think it stayed being pretty decent for the first couple of seasons of What's Her Name. It was just when Cole left, when Julian left, that I think the show lost some of its balls and became a little cheesy. I'm a big fan of both Charmed and Buffy for different reasons, and I think both shows are really awesome and were at the time. Charmed is good. I haven't seen. Oh, Balthazar. Thank you, Ree.
Balthazar. Yep.
Thank you. Well, it's not Bulbasaur. I was like Bulbasaur, and that's a Pokemon.
Balthazar Getty.
Bulbasaur, I choose you. So I think the show never quite was the same after that point. Someone scrolled up. I just want to answer Killmonger's question, but without spoilers, to say to Joe, I thought Joker was a well-made movie. I think Todd Phillips did a great job on that. From beginning to end, it was a unique take on that character. I wasn't excited about it going in. I went to watch it with a sort of like I don't know about an origin piece for the Joker, and I don't know if I like the Joaquin Phoenix's makeup that I saw in the trailer, and blah, 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 and after what they just did with Jared Leto, do I really want to see another Joker performance and all this sort of shit? I think it was a really interesting representation of the Joker, and the movie was well worth a watch if you're a Batman fan and you're a Joker fan, and I think the denouement of the movie is very awesome, and seeing the whole progression, it comes off less as a Joker movie. It's an origin piece, of seeing how he gets to that point. And I think one of the sneaky awesome performances, everyone wants to focus on Joaquin's performance, but being a huge 6 Feet Under fan, the mother from 6 Feet Under plays the Joker's mother in it. And in a small but important role, she kind of she sells it really well and plays that kind of character really, really exceptionally. And I think it's a well put together movie. And Joaquin definitely deserves all the credit that he's giving playing that role. And he usually doesn't pick shit scripts, and he didn't this time either. So I might be the only time we ever see him play that character. And I don't know if I'd like to see him in a movie with Batman. That's a different question that I have in my mind of whether I could see that Joker matched up with Edward from Twilight playing who's going to be our next Batman. I don't know if I can see that match, but Joaquin's basically said that's the only time he's going to play the character. So
yeah, it's not going to be revisited.
So yeah, I think it's a good
standalone, and that is a performance he will not go back to.
Yeah, and I think that's good though. I think that's a credit to him as an actor. He's one of those guys that no amount of money is going to make him go, maybe I want to do it. It would have to be a great script. And I think the only way you get him to play that character again is a great script. And
it doesn't. It will not happen. There will not be a script written for it. He will not reprise that role. Yeah,
that's what I've heard too. I've heard basically the same stuff about that.
That role took a fucking toll out of him.
Yeah.
The way he does and the way he prepares for roles, method acting shit that he goes through, whatever version of it he does.
Oh, her name is Frances Conroy. Yeah, I love her. She's an exceptionally awesome actor. She's in a couple things that I recognize her in, and she's great. Oh, Brooke says Buffy. I met the actor that played Spike in Buffy. He was awesome. I love Spike. I'm Spike and Buffy all the way. Fuck Angel. And yes, I've started to watch some Angel. For those of you that watch my Buffy cast,
wasn't he at one of the things we went to?
I don't think so, but maybe, and it was before I knew Buffy well, so I was a little bit meh about him. So it might have been the same one that Billy from Gremlins was at and was like really rude to us. He's like, "Hi, you." I don't know if you were at that one where Billy from Gremlins was kind of a douche to me.
Where it was like, "Yeah, I won't let you interview me."
Yeah, no
pictures.
No camera. No camera, no audio. You can talk to me, but no pictures, no camera. I'm like, we're a podcast. He's like, yeah, well, you can say what I say, yep. And I'm like, nah, no thanks, Billy. I'm all set. I think I walked away from Billy. I was like, yeah, I'm all set, Billy.
Yep.
So I watched both. Lost so much weight. Oh, he's on American Horror Story. Is he? Is Spike on American Horror Story? Oh, interesting. So Joe, what should I do for Halloween? I'm probably gonna do this one alone, but I want to do a Nightmare on Elm Street one of these. But for the next one that we do together, what should we do? Let's have the live motherfucking chat nominate a film
DC?
Series, like all the DC movies, like starting with
starting
with Superman and Batman '89, like the whole Batman.
The Spider-Man.
Want to do Spider-Man series next? Okay. Let's do the Spider-Mans next. And Oh no, Frances Conroy. Okay, she's in it. Awesome. She's in some other stuff too.
Yeah, the Spider-Man movies.
Okay, so the next one of these that we're gonna do is
The trilogies and the
the Garfield, the Tobey, and the first two Tom Holland movies. And I also will talk. We'll also
we got
to include Civil War.
The Civil War because Spider-Man's in that.
Yeah, and I guess we have to talk about
That's his debut.
No, but do we have to talk about what do you call it too as well? Apocalypse, not Apocalypse. Fucking Endgame. Not Endgame. Fucking. Do we have to talk about the last two Marvel movies? Why am I blanking on their names? The freaking. Do we have to talk about every Spider-Man performance or just Civil War? Because he's a big part of. God, why am I blanking on this?
He's not. He doesn't. He like. Is he in that last one?
Yeah, he is. He comes back, or he's in it for a second. I'm not talking about the last one. I'm talking about the one where he dies in. Mr. Stark, Mr. Stark. Why am I blanking on the name of it? Infinity War. We kind of have to talk about Infinity War too, then.
Yeah, I guess we do.
I mean, maybe we should just talk about him in the MCU. Like talk about.
Well, we can mention those, but those won't be included in our list of.
Right, because I think that's a different list. I think talking about all the MCU movies is a completely different one of these.
Yeah, you got the Guardian movies, the fucking Iron Man movies, the Captain America movies,
Infinity
the
ones,
Avenger movies.
That being said, someone said in the live chat in my corner of my side butthole eye, we do have to talk about Into the Spider-Verse.
That's the Hulk movies.
Yeah, but have you seen Into the Spider-Verse yet?
I started watching for a minute.
Okay, don't say what you thought because I'm including that in my list. So
and I have to watch it because I haven't watched it.
Watch it all the way through.
I think live action. We should stick to the live action.
Oh, go fuck yourself.
Animated.
Okay,
that's might as well be a
fine.
fucking
That's a different list. We'll do animated stuff, but I will be mentioning it because I think it's one of the Then
you might as well mention the TV series, the animated TV series.
No, movies. It came out in the theater. Movies that came out in the fucking movie theater, asshole. Come on. Don't be a dick cheese. So we got one voicemail before we could have called this. Don't be a dick cheese because you don't like a movie and you don't want to watch it.
I just haven't watched it yet.
And you're just not animation takes a lot for you to it needs to be. I mean, you don't like animated stuff when it's too serious, I think sometimes.
Are you kidding me?
Do you like the old Spawn cartoon? I remembered you shitting.
The old what cartoon?
Spawn cartoon from HBO. I thought I had an argument with you about that.
Yeah, dude.
Oh, why did I think you hated that for some reason?
Dude, I'm a fucking huge
Dude, it's
Spawn
amazing.
fan.
Like that cartoon. Okay, let's do one of these where we talk about best animated cartoon shows. And Spawn would be definitely high on my list. For some reason, I had it stuck in my snuffleupagus that you hated the Spawn cartoon series.
Dude, I got the whole Spawn run right here. Right next to me.
Cue bullying children at Joe. Like Joe hating Into the Spider-Verse will definitely cue the booing children. We do have one voicemail for the day, Joe, from area code 747. So let's listen to this and then call this a show. Here we go, 747.
Ooga booga. 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 Ooga booga.
What?
That was maybe one of the best calls we've ever gotten. The ooga booga, ooga booga, ooga booga, ooga booga. Justice League Unlimited is amazing, T. Jackson. But it all gets grouped as Justice League Unlimited. I enjoy the first 2 seasons better than Unlimited, even though I think Unlimited is great for those 5 seasons it goes when you have the whole DC universe. The first 2 seasons of Justice League are more about those main core characters, and you have some of the best episodes ever. There's one called Joker's Wild, where it's all about them being in Vegas defusing bombs, and the Joker's there with the Royal Flush Gang. It's a really amazing episode of that. And anyways, okay. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us today. Cole's demon name was Belvazar. Yeah, I love that motherfucker, and I love all those. And I know if you guys are listening to this, most of you will disagree with our list. But please, if you're listening to the live chat, listening to this after the fact,
hey, it's all opinion.
It's all opinion. But
and it's all wrong unless it's mine.
Yeah. And we all know Joe has the shittiest list around. So make sure you tell him that in the comment section of this video. By all means, troll the comment section with how much Joe's wrong here. And it's all tied to the Batman animated series, and that's why Batman series was the best. I agree, and I actually could do a whole podcast on that.
And the Batman movies, year one kind of sucked.
I think parts of year one were all right. I think the other one was better, where The Dark Knight Returns, or you have Frank Welker doing the voice of Batman, and you have Benjamin Linus doing the voice of the Joker. I think we'll actually have a stream where we talk about all this stuff.
Yeah, the Batman movies, and for that one, okay, we'll include the Spideyverse. I'll watch that.
Okay.
But we have to when we do the Batman movies, we'll have to include the animated movies, not the series, but the movies.
No, I agree, because number one would be an animated series movie for me. Would be I'm spoiler alert. My favorite Batman movie is Mask of the Phantasm. So I think it's better than The Dark Knight. I think it's better than Batman Beyond. I think it's or not. Or Batman.
Well, we'll get into that later.
Different story. Yeah. So if you disagree with our list,
go to bed and eat food.
Joe needs to go to bed. But if you haven't already and you hate our lists, definitely comment away in the comment section. Thank you to everyone that joined us in the live chat today. Joe and I will be back on Sunday evening at 10:30 to talk about The Walking Disaster and go through that shit and watch 2 episodes back to back and talk about 2 episodes. I'm almost destroyed that I have to watch 2 episodes of that piece of shit.
I know. 2 hours before we.
I know. We have 2 hours. We have to watch.
2 hours.
We're gonna be. I'm definitely getting very, very drunk. So, except for about Dark Phoenix, Joe is right about that shit. Thanks, chat. Everybody, thank you for this live stream. Thank you for pushing us to do something like this. We hope you guys enjoyed this. It's a little bit different than what we usually do, so we're figuring out the format of this. But so we appreciate you guys coming with us as we figure out our list. Next time we'll try to make our lists before, so we have them in the bank, and then kind of talk through them and blah 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 blah. But it's always fun to watch us try to scramble live on the air. So, Everyone, if you haven't already and you enjoyed this video, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, share the channel with a friend, share the podcast with a friend. Help us find more people, because it's harder than ever these days to find new listeners and viewers, especially when you say fuck as much as we do. So if you like us and you think there's some people that might like what we do, motherfucking send them our way. Lots of more fun stuff coming up on the channel, coming up soon. As we said, we'll be doing The Walking Disaster, final season of Vikings. We'll be doing a lot more of these kind of casts midweek to kind of make sure we're out here every week. I'll be doing this next thing alone because Joe's not quite as big as a fan, and I want to sniff the balls of BoJack Horseman's final season this last year that comes out, and I'm rewatching that series right now and being in love with it being one of my favorite series on television right now, and I'm sad it's coming to a close. So October 25th is that new season. We'll be talking about that. Lots of other shit coming up. Joe, we talked a little bit about Patrick Stewart tonight, or a lot about Patrick Stewart tonight. Picard's coming out in January, and I know both of us can't wait for that. Oh my god, it's gonna be a lot of fun this year, and I mean that's next year, but it's gonna be a lot of fun, a lot of good silliness. Don't worry, you broke Black Man 94. It is the Gotham stream is coming up soon as I rewatch the final season of Gotham, or actually watch the final season of Gotham. Lots more goofiness coming up very, very soon. So everyone, you guys are the best. Have a great today and a great tomorrow. Good night, everybody.